Very good morning to all you lovely people, and welcome to another episode of Lionsworld Weekly, where we bring you business insights. My name is Tian Xiang. I will be your host for this morning, and as always, with me is Mr. Tan, my speaker. Now, before we begin, please do remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe so that you can receive regular notifications on our weekly episodes. So, COVID-19. This has been a prevailing topic for our past 2 weeks, and indeed been the prevailing topic for the entire world. Now that the vaccine has been developed and has begun distributing, many people are hoping for a return to life before COVID-19. But is it really going to be that simple? Today, Mr. Tan will share with you what we believe might be a possible post-COVID-19 economic situation. So, Mr. Tan, what do you think?
Okay. World change. For those who have studied so-called economics in your school, you surely understand what they call Adam Smith supply and demand theory. This supply and demand theory is outdated. They are no longer fully applicable to economic situation anymore. Because the technology improve human being life, but they also is a disaster for human being life. The technology make the production level, the so-called the supply level, seriously overpays the demand. Even agricultural production, if you have the money, you should not be hungry in any country. So, due to the oversupply situation is so serious, economists run into a very advanced stage called stimulate demand. It's not the basic demand. They have to stimulate you to have more demand. Simple way to give you an example. Every human being have a pair of legs. But how many pair of shoes you have? Why you have so many shoes for? That causes stimulate demand. So the level of demand had to be far exceed from basic need. When the production level come to this today level, the consumer must be stimulated to spend money. The keyword is spend. So when you talk about spend, you must have money. So this COVID-19, during the last 1-2 years, you don't see the great impact on individual life. But you'll see this soon. COVID-19, after it is so-called over, then there's a few situations will happen. Let's talk about spending power in the world. During COVID-19, many governments pump in money to the consumer. You go by T. This money run into the consumer market, and the consumer as if have money to spend. So they continue to spend. When you live on subsidies from the government, you can't last too long. Because printing money also have a limit. So once COVID-19 is over, most of the government in the world will stop this action. Once they stop, then the real impact will be out. Try to imagine if across the board, whenever I say it's not 100%, I say maybe 80% of the world population, each one earn less $10 per day. The world market go by the multiple sum. So per day, our so-called consumer spending have to adjust according to the consumer income. It also means billions of dollars of spending power will be out from the world. And this affect the supply factory, whether they can maintain their production level. And this will further hurt the economies once the spending power of the world go down. Presently, the supply level is held by the artificial government pumping in money. What is the meaning of government pumping money? It's the same. It's like government borrow money and let you go and spend. Or you take out your reserve, the government take out from their so-called saving to let you spend. So we have faced problem. After COVID-19 stable, then there's no reason for the government to keep borrowing money for you, to give you to spend, or there are no reason for them to dig further into their saving. In fact, they are trying to recoup or repay their loan. Under the situations, years to come, most of the government have to adjust their spending patterns in order to either repay the money they print or replenish the money out from their saving. So if the situation goes such, spending power of consumer go down, government spending also have to string a bit, then that the time you feel how economic situation will be like. And this COVID-19 changed the economic pattern. In fact, the so-called online marketing today volume is too high. It's supposed to might be you take 3 to 5 years to have today volume. But because of COVID-19, many changes. So force many people, instead of physical visiting the shop or spending their money, everyone go online. And they're used to it. Once they're used to it, the fiscal economies will not be able to return. This gives another hit. Adam Smith supply-demand theory is no longer fully applicable for today's economic situation. But there's one theory is still valid. That's called distribution of wealth. you can just simply careful think about some so-called poor country. In fact, they have a volume of rich people, and that the country is poor because distribution of wealth is not well done. Distribution not well done affect the supplies and demand. You can't have 10% of the population can afford to wear two shirts and 90% of your people cannot afford the shirt. But the wealth distribution now is a very important to have good economies for any country. Well, Singapore is well done. Our wealth distribution is quite well. Everybody have almost the same spending power. Of course, they're super rich. But distribution of wealth under COVID-19 will lopsided because of the online marketing. If we keep focus this wealth to only the so-called top-end industry, so-called AI lah, technology lah, they only benefit a part of the populations. This will further lopside the distribution of wealth. And not many government, from what I see, their implementations actually put in too much effort on try to balance out distribution of wealth. Instead, they keep pushing up so-called helping the poor by giving more benefit to the poor. These are the trends. So COVID-19 economic situation today you say is bad. No, today is not bad. The worst will be coming just round the corner. Once there is no reason for the so-called stimulate government package all over the world, that is a time when you will see economies downturn. A lot of governments stimulate money, whether in US or whether in Singapore, go into equity market. So share market looks good. Someone tell me if I throw in 100, I will have 200. It's true at this moment. But equity market have to come with foundations. One day you have to face it. You have to face a foundation. If the spending power of the consumer is not there or reduced by 10%, the foundation is weaker by 10%. So the present equity pricing is substantially ballooned. So don't blind by the word so-called investment. In fact, in the equity market, you are buying big or small. That's about it. You are not investing, you are gambling. So once you are in the gambling, careful. You must afford the loss. And the loss will come. Method of time, method of when. So the last week video, I say one statement. COVID-19 final crisis will end with equity crash. Equity crash will be the last phase of COVID-19 economic crisis. We were faced with government spending reducing, consumer spending dropping, no industry will be spared. So what I suggest you to handle this situation is, please ensure you save more money. Now for investment is to withstand the hard hit. COVID-19 worst economies is not here in town yet. The worst is to come. And want to go back to pre-COVID-19 situation, God no. Because we do face another few economic situation in front of us. It called it nothing to buy. There is no technology breakthrough. To stimulate everybody to buy something, the whole world, everyone need that thing. 1970, 60, televisions is an important pillar to the economies of the whole world. You have to keep changing, you have to keep buying because new user a lot. 10 telephone set might be 7 go to the new user, 3 go to upgrade. And you come to a time that where 7 is for upgrade, 3 is for new user. When 7 upgrade, when you have nothing to upgrade, then the 7 will have to reduce. 1980, Bill Gates helped the world. Everybody need computer. He make the OS so cheap. Make personal PC a need to every household, every human being. That hold the world economies. After that, the handphone take over. Handphone become a must for every human being. So handphone industry hold the world economies. And today handphone for production, 10 set of handphone come out, 7 for upgrade, 3 for new user. Upgrade to make you buy new handphone, despite you have one which is not spoiled, must have reasons. And now the handphone technology very interesting. Besides keep changing the camera, say, wow, this one take already, skin very nice, white color. Beside that, nothing much to improve. Oh, you can fold it. So the upgrading process of handphone is also slow down. So very soon you will see handphone factory go bust. Once that happen, what is next? For us, everybody going to have to buy one. Are this product not come to the world yet? Someone tell me, vaccine no? Everybody got to give one jab every year. I say correct. This vaccine, you have to take it every year. So it become every human being demand for it. Unfortunately, that is too small to hold the world economies. And the wealth created by this drug too focus only in couple of hands. So they will not help economies. Regardless how rich you are, you only can take one meal. So be prepared for the worst time ahead. Don't believe the present as if COVID-19 is not going to give you great impact. It will give you great impact. I hope most of the government focus on distribution of wealth. Make sure 100% can eat 100 bowl rather than you make a person can take 100 bowl. And finally, he still only take 2 on the maximum. Distribution of wealth is a very important issue for economies for the years to come. Focus on distribution of wealth. Okay. I know this topic is not easy to have question, but I will still take if there is any.
We actually do have quite a few questions to go through, so let's start. Now, rolling back to when we said that governments were spending money, were providing money to the consumers and also that they could spend. Jane Loy asked, where does all this money that the government pumping go to then, if it's not? Where does it circulate to?
No. The present government stimulus package, a lot of them go into the consumer pocket. But most of the time when this money go into the pocket, government is borrow to give you. The money spent, and that's why it's still holding on to not so bad economies today. Not so bad. So it doesn't mean the money that they stimulate doesn't go in, but there's a lot, more than half, I think. All this stimulus package is going to help the big corporation, like airlines, because they are too big to fail. So the stimulus package, many of them are helping so-called this big corporation to go under. Any next question? I saw one question very interesting.
Okay.
So-called, is investing in stock market considered gamble? Equity market is a bigger word for share market. Share market is one component of equity market. There's a currency, there's a oil, there's a gold, there's silver. At all, we call them equity market. So investing in share, be honest to yourself. You are not investing in a company because you want to manage a company and make it good. You just want to buy the share price up or share price down. That is no different than you go to a casino, buy big and buy small. That's about it. Next question. Do I have one?
Yes, of course. So Miss Stella asked, because you said that the government is borrowing money to give to help fund all these stimulation packages. In what ways do you think that the government is going to recover the loan or payer? Do you think that you increase taxes after COVID or any such method?
Surely they will have to increase taxes, but they still will not enough to pay this shortfall. So they will continue to borrow. But that will have a limit. A lot of people tell me, US never die because they can print a lot of money. I say, no. Printing have a limit. Up to the limit, Time shall come. Do I have a next question?
Miss Foodie did ask. Then, in that case, do you think that the rise of online shopping, because COVID-19 has introduced a lot of online things happening? So, do you think the rise of online shopping means that there's more opportunity for those lower in wealth to start business because the barrier to entry is not quite that high?
Yes, you are right to think that starting business is lower entry is better for people who want to start business. Unfortunately, let me explain to you this. In the past, only 1,000 people open shop. These 1,000 people survive, earn money. But in the online, 1 million people open shop. Then nobody survive. Finally, who survive? The platform you rely on, like Alibaba. You have to open shop in them. So if you can't survive. If 1 million people sell clothes, but there's only 3 million, 3.5 million, 4 million population in Singapore. Last time shared by 1,000 fashion shop. Well, they survive and they are profitable. The online, they have 1 million. Distribution will go on. Okay, next.
So,
I have a very interesting question asking whether I invest in share. No, I don't. I felt the share price now, the equity market now, is artificially ballooned to a very unacceptable level. Next question.
okay. So, in that case, what kind of industries do you think will survive after COVID-19? Miss Stella asked that is it possible food industry, F&B will survive because it's essential item to daily life?
Basic industry, as what I explained for the last while of a shop, is the only way you have a chance to succeed. But I tell you, it's hard work, not easy for you to succeed as well. So, your question is correct, but can you do it? I'm going to leave it to the God. Next question.
So, I mean, then in that case, the AI technology business will all go down after COVID-19.
Say again.
So, things that are not so called as essential, AI technology, the online Zoom and such, do you think that they would go down after COVID-19, like very
Sure.
heavily?
All industry will be affected by this COVID-19. And they do not forget, any industry are in, you need a consumer. Any more question?
Okay, so
I'm surprised to see today so many questions. Next.
well, so far,
Someone give me a question to say,
Hmm.
bond is giving fixed interest rate more than the bank. I tell you, you see, for years, for I think the last 10 years, everybody say, wow, cannot save money. Bank no interest too low lah. It's not wrong in the theory. So don't save money. They ask gamble. They ask spend it. So end day you got no money. So it's better than you save some money, earn some interest, slow, very little, or you end up with no money. The one you got to check yourself. Next question.
Mr. Paul then also asked, because since we're on the topic of bonds, invest Singapore bond or China bond? What do you think?
I didn't encourage you to invest in anything. But if you really, really feel so bad, definitely want to buy something, the best bond and safe bond in the world by Singapore government bond.
Okay, so that
Don't try any other country. Even China bond is not safe. Next question.
that's all actually for our questions from our viewers. That was certainly a very interesting session from Mr. Tan. So, everyone, please remember to subscribe to our channel for weekly updates because next week we will have yet another episode of Lionsworld Weekly.
I have a person
Oh,
ask me about Bitcoin, I think.
cryptocurrencies is essentially.
Bitcoin currency is not even a company. You buy also don't know for what. You buy just believe that the price flying. It looks so tempting. I tell you, equity market now, my personal observation, come into the consuming time. What is consuming a sideways liquidity? Means all the time for the last, I think might be 10 years, you have missed a lot of chance. You see a lot of share go up. You see the equity market index keep going up, and you regret day after day. If you start regret today, you jump in. These so-called Bitcoins and all this. They don't even, it's a products who require who have a demand. And they don't have earning power. And why they worth so much? Pure speculation, manipulation. Please take my advice. Avoid it. Do I have any more?
No, that's so far that is the end of the
I only recommend you something if you really cannot hold on to your money anymore because you hate the bank low interest rate. Save one by Singapore government bond. Okay, I'll end my section today. If you have any topic you want me to speak next week or any weeks to go, you can always write to us. If within my ability to do, I will do it for you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for sharing with us, and thank you to our lovely audience. It was a very interactive session with everybody, and it's always nice to see that. Remember once again to subscribe so that you can have weekly notifications for our updates. Once again, we'll tune in next week for another episode of Lionsworld Weekly. As always, take care of yourselves and have a wonderful week ahead.